Hello and welcome to our next YouTube video. Today, it's about villas versus apartments and where the money has been going in H1 of 2026. If you were investing in Dubai today, would you buy an apartment or a villa? Because on paper, apartments seem to be the obvious choice. They're more affordable, generally more liquid, and they produce a gross rental income of about 7% according to data, compared with roughly 4.5% for villas. But when you look deeper into the numbers, something interesting is happening. Villa prices have been considerably more resilient, and tenant demand for villas is actually increasing, even as they become relatively more expensive to rent. So why? Let's look at the numbers together and find out what's happening. First, what's happening to the overall market? Dubai recorded roughly 82,000 residential transactions worth 225.7 billion dirhams in H1 26. That's a still enormous activity, but it's below the levels we saw in 2025. And this is where average becomes misleading, because the apartments represent roughly about 84% of residential transaction volume, and the rest is for villas. So apartments clearly remain the engine of the market. But when we look at the pricing, yield, and rental demand, villas and apartments tell a very different story. In prices, villas are holding better. Average apartment pricing moves from approximately 1,850 dirham per square foot to 1,791 in the last 6 months. That's roughly a 3.3% decline. Whereas villas went from 2331 per square foot to 2325, which is essentially a flat line. We are not saying villas are booming while apartments are collapsing. Far from it. What the numbers are telling us is that during the same period of market moderation, apartments absorbed considerably more of the price adjustments while villas held their ground. To me, that's a sign of relative resilience. But apartments win on yield, because if you're an income investor, apartments have major advantage versus the villas or townhouses. Average gross apartment yields are around 6.9% versus 4.5% for villas. That is a significant difference. And apartments usually come with a lower entry prices, a much more pool of potential tenants, and a future buyers as well. So if your objective is cash flow, rental income, or liquidity, apartments can make a lot of sense. But the investment isn't only about yield. And the rental market is showing us something very interesting. Renters are moving towards villas. And here's probably the most interesting number in this entire comparison. According to Property Finder, a year ago, villas represented roughly about 25% of tenant demand. Today, that figure is around 29%. Apartments, however, moved in the opposite direction from roughly 75% to 71%. Now here's the surprising part. Villas didn't become cheaper. In fact, villas became more expensive relative to apartments. The villa to apartment rent ratio increased from about 2.41 to 2.52 times. So tenants are effectively saying, yes, villas may cost considerably more, and more of us still want them. Why is this happening? I think there are several reasons. First, Dubai has increasingly become a long-term home rather than simply a temporary posting for expats. Families want space, gardens, privacy. They want good schools and established communities and neighborhoods. Secondly, quality villa supply is inherently more difficult to create than apartment supplies. You can build hundreds of apartments vertically on top of each other on one single plot, but you cannot do the same with villas. And third, there's a lifestyle shift taking place for many families with financial ability to choose an extra bedroom, outdoor space, or privacy. So these things are becoming worth paying for. And that is why communities such as Dubai Hills, Emirates Living, and other established villa communities continue to attract serious end users' demand, even today. So which is a better investment? This is where I don't think there's one winner necessarily in this equation. If I were investing primarily for income, I'd be looking very seriously at apartments. Higher yields, lower entry cost, broader tenant pool, and generally a faster liquidity. If my priorities were capital preservation, scarcity, and long-term end user demand, then I'll be looking much more closely at quality villas. But, and this is very important, I wouldn't simply buy any villa because villas have been resilient. I would want the right villa in the right community at the right price. And the same applies to apartments as well. A great apartment in a supply-constrained location can outperform a mediocre villa in the wrong community, which is why asset selection is still more important than the headlines itself. As for the risk investors need to understand, here's where I'll be particularly careful with apartments in general, because Dubai has a substantial supply pipeline in the next 4 years, and most of that future supply is apartments. That doesn't mean apartment prices are going to collapse after that backlog is released to the market, but it means that in some locations we'll face considerable more competition with the new inventory versus the others. So if I'm buying an apartment today, I'm asking, what will I be competing against in the next 3 to 5 years if I were to sell it? For villas, supply is generally more constrained, but you're paying for that scarcity through a much higher entry price and a lower rental yield. Every advantage has its price. And in conclusion of villas versus apartments, I would frame that decision in a different way. I'd frame it as income versus durability. Apartments currently offer stronger yield, lower entry points, and faster liquidity. Villas offer greater scarcity and, so far in 2026, a stronger price and rental demand. Both can be excellent investments, or both can be terrible investments if you buy the wrong property at a wrong price in the wrong location. So before deciding between a villa and an apartment, decide what you're actually wanting to accomplish and what are your objectives. Income, capital preservation, appreciation, liquidity, or lifestyle. Once you answer that question, the asset class becomes much more clear. If you're considering investing in Dubai and would like a second opinion, I'll be more than happy to help you. And if you found this video useful, please like and subscribe for weekly insights into Dubai real estate market. Until next time, invest with logic, not emotion.